Greetings, Islam, peace and love, peace and power. I am Sade Renee L, and thank you for tuning into my channel. And I'm back at it again with another video. So today I'm going to be going over clearing up part and partial / part and parcel. And I'm just going to read straight through it. All right, free baby Ashe, and thank you for your time and energy. And here we go. Clearing up part and partial, part and parcel. Misinformation that causes confusion. We, being Moors, are in fact parcel to the land, as it is our ancestral estate by lineal descent, by heritage, just as we are parcel to nature, nature's law, and divine law. Parcel, a part or portion of land, a part of an estate. Black Laws Dictionary, 4th edition, page 1268. We, being Moors, are in fact partial to the American National Constitution, law of the land. It was established at our authority for the purpose of bringing peace, law, and order to the land for everybody, for all ranks of citizenship, nationals, naturalized, subjects, and alien/foreign citizens. We, being Moors, are the nationals, which is the highest rank as citizenship goes, and if not for the national, there would be no need for citizenship rankings in the first place. Nationals have political power, although many are not utilizing it, wherein other citizens do not have political power. They are using yours in the name of the American. This gives an idea as to how far off we are today. If we don't enforce the national constitution, we will be molested by those other citizens, as it is happening now. The unshakable ancient divine principles of government are imbued in the American National Constitution. It is the longest standing constitution on the planet Earth to this present day. And that is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said to answer up to and enforce it, as it is the national constitution for nationals. That's the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice are embedded at its foundation, and it's in its preamble, and are the principles for all nations of the earth. Put yourself on a solid rock of foundation by studying. Read chapter 46 and Message to America for those gifts of understanding. Study for yourself to show yourself approved, so you will know, as man does not know by being told. Interesting, it is that those who claim to be part and partial don't even study the American National Constitution, of which they are partial to, yet they say they are nationals, nor do they enforce it as they were instructed. Clearly, they are confused about what they are parcel to and what they are partial to, or that they just do not know the difference. Instead, they direct themselves by the United States Constitution, which showers color of law over anyone who is a member, citizen of it, as they are quasi-national domiciles and venues, not national domiciles for nationals. As well, those who are so-called vanguards of the Moorish nation absolutely ignore the geographic boundaries of the nation Al-Marat/Northwest Samexem/Northwest Africa /North America, the ancestral estate of which they are parcel to by heritage. These geographical boundaries are made clear in chapter 47 for their reference and as their divine instructions. Go figure. A society begins with family, so does the authority to govern family and society. Your family appellation is not derived from the United States of America, the U, the S, the A, or any Union states and names corporate tags for corporations, subcorporations, charters, subcharters, etc. The United States, as utilized in the preamble of the American National Constitution, is a collective metaphor for we the people of the United Estate, North, South, Central, and the adjoining islands, the Moroccan Empire, not to be confused with the Moroccan Kingdom, established in 1956. A kingdom is subordinate to the empire. For all who signed up as citizens of the Moroccan Kingdom, you have gave up your ancestral estate. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of Department of State, over all secretaries of the individual Union States, and over foreign and domestic affairs, before she stepped off, made an address and stated that the Moroccan nation, not kingdom, not union state, not county, not municipality, Romans, was the first to recognize the United States of America in 1787, not in 1956. That is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787, which is the pre-mandate for those forming and establishing the American National Constitution for the United States of America as the law of the land. The treaty is between the Moors and the Christians. Don't get your panties in a bunch, you who say you're Christians. Christian, as it refers to in that document, are the descendants of the Christian crusaders, who are murderers and plunderers, of which such acts are not Christ-like, crystal clear, pure, or cleansing, at all. You must read the Inter Caetera Divina, where in their own words, with no uncertain terms, they make it clear to plunder this new world they ventured upon and say they found, and to kill the natives of same, if they did not convert to the Christianity, is their divine mission from God. Do you still want to be that Christian? We refer to you again to chapter 46 so you can know the origins of Christianity for yourself. It is the intelligent and wise to know before making claims. Asiatic. It is also good to point out for those who may be confused in regards to why the natural people of the land are Asiatics. Many have learned that across the sea is Asia Minor. If they still teach that in schools today, as teaching the children, is why all temples were to have their own schools, to prevent this present-day miseducation and dumbing down of the children. We were to get this into the children at all cost, meaning it just ain't about you and your leadership position or that mantle you wear. It's all about posterity, family, and the children, of which has been all but seemingly forgotten and are being gunned down in the street like cattle and buffalo. The question to ask yourself is a geography question. Where would Asia Major be? The answer is you are standing on it. You are the Asiatics of the land, as the entire planet is Asa, the lower realm, as it relates to the universal knowledge and geography, astronomy of the heavenly bodies. For all Moors usually in infiltrated temples who think or have been taught that cosmology has no reference, the works of the prophet Noble Drew Ali, we suggest you reread chapter 1. And let that solar station be your guide, as they will lead you to victory, just as it's stated in that chapter. For all who may be confused about religion, read Religious Controversy, and though the sun sits at high noon, they comprehend it not. Dominion of the land. The Union States formed yesterday, or that shall be formed tomorrow, has no dominion over the land. Therefore, they have no territorial jurisdiction over the land or the people of the land. The names in which they refer to as cities, townships, boroughs, states, counties, or otherwise, are corporate tags, and of recent are from their private general assemblies. Those names represented only sale territories they were allowed to sell in regards to plantation work and fur trapping, in the first instance. They are the original slave plantation workers. Read Articles of Confederation 1643 and 1777, found on the Moorish Heritage and Heritage School page, which includes a comprehension test. However, you will still be lost if you do not know who you are and who your family, the British, England, Moors are. The sun never sets on the empire as it is on both sides. When the foreign European colonists, pilgrims, original slave plantation workers got here, they encountered you, the natives. You assisted them when they were abandoned by the British Moors. That is when they started complaining, and eventually the Declaration of Independence for them was established. You were not and are not Indians, as they like to call you, and this is not India. Read 1895 8th grade public school final test out of Salinas, Kansas, a public school test wherein to get the question right on the test, the students had to know that Columbus called the people Indians because he thought he was in India. Yet the Indians, he thought you were, look just like you, as you are the mothers and fathers of civilization on the planet, and they are also Moors. Another document to read, found on the site, is the analysis letter of John Adams 1780, wherein the colonists were asking for a treaty to do commerce, and in the first paragraph of the document it says, "For you to ask for a treaty of commerce before a treaty of peace is established is like furnishing a house before the foundation is laid." It also says, before we can do anything with you, we must first see the documentation that the British have given you, your independence as requested. This is a very unveiling letter. We, being Moors, are to enforce and follow the law of the land, your ancestral estate. You are not to enforce the rules of law established in or by any corporate state's constitution, or foreign Europeans' private General Assembly, of which, in their state constitution, it is made clear that they are forbidden to violate or abrogate the rules of law established in the law of the land, the American National Constitution. Read Article 6. They cannot perpetrate a fraud upon the natural people and pretend to be judges and then hold the people accountable to void judgments and defective writs. That is exactly what they are doing with all the feigned infractions and violations that are not infractions or violations at all. They make them up, create bills of attainders, municipal warrants, Romans, which are bill of attainders by definition. The Constitution spells out Article 1, Section 9 for Congress and Section 10 for states that they are forbidden to create bill of attainders ex post facto laws. That is when they hinder you and charge you with something after the fact. They, being private employee security guards hired by mayors of cities, go to the schools and other public organizations, example NAACP meetings, and teach the students and members how to allow them to violate their civil liberties. The student and members accept it, even though that officer might be violating their human and civil liberties. Now that is enslavement of yesterday happening today, as their intent to enslave you and murder you is documented as their intent. Even if the current day trained employee may not know it, if your liberties, you would recognize it quickly. Form of government for the people of and in the land. The law of the land guarantees a republican form of government and not a democracy. Democracy, demi, meaning lesser than, is the code word for the slower infiltration of which they have successfully gotten unconscious Moors to subscribe to, as if it has true bearings. Asking if you are a Republican or a Democrat absolutely has no bearing on the form of government, as the law of the land is based in a republic form of government, not a choice you may want to have, and you need to know the difference. You would not be talking about being a Democrat ignorantly, meaning, for one, you don't know, and for two, you are willing to abandon your ancestral estate and its form of governing. A Republican form of government is for the people, by the people, and of the people, which is peace, and it is what is already established. It is not changeable or debatable. We accept these traps due to lack of knowledge, and for that we suffer. Read Article 4 and to Article 6 of the American National Constitution, wherein, if anyone violates the law of the land with ordinances, codes, statutes, etc., those same ordinances, codes, and statutes would have no standing in law, non-exist. An unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no right. It imposes no duties, affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation, as inoperative, as though it had never been passed. Norton v. Shelby County, 118 U.S.425. Where no rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation, which would abrogate them. Miranda v. Arizona, 384 U.S. 436. We have figured it out already. Many of the so-called leaders of those who are Moorish American, more American, same thing, as American and more are the same thing, either do not study or are infiltrating agents by conscious design or by someone else's conscious design who came before them and taught them to be infiltrators. Many of them say you cannot be more unless you come through a temple as a member. That is the most absurd statement, which proves a desire to own and or control others, and proves the existence of mental slavery if another believes it and acts upon it as truth. You are born a Moor as a matter of bloodline, lineage, and heritage, thus birthrights, not temple rights. Simple. Prophet Noble Drew Ali himself was a Moor prior to establishing any temple, so such statements show and prove themselves. If you would just get to thinking and studying, which really are the same thing in many ways. If people are talking about an agreement made after he left the scene, then what would that be? As his instructions were clear for us to all live in peace and not be molested. Until they enforce the American National Constitution for nationals as instructed, then they will have not done what was directed of them by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Therefore, there is no need to make up anything new in effort to bring unity and peace. The agreement and instructions have already been made clear. Most of us know most Moors, unfortunately, and sadly, do not enforce the American National Constitution for nationals. They don't know the difference between the state's constitution, their membership bylaws and constitution, and the national constitution. Until they get that to knowing and acting upon that, anything else would be treason on their part, even as a Moor. We recognize fraud, so ought you. Even more sinister and unveiling is that those who say that things are probably working with the foreigners through their corporate county, you ought not to be registering. You ought to be declaring and proclaiming as instructed. Why else would they say something like that? Or they just have no ability to be fearless, independent, and upright Moors, of which they would have to be lacking those qualities to even make a statement like that, or an agreement like that, with foreigners to keep the Aboriginal and indigenous native Moors under their jurisdiction. So be careful, Moors. Some of your own will put you back into slavery. The last reason for these statements and actions of so-called leaders is that they prove lack of study. As they were instructed and obligated to do, many of them think that they are a U.S. citizen, and that is absolute proof of one or all of the above reasons. Be sure to read the magistrate and the subject relationship, chapter 29. The sheiks are chosen by you, the member, and considered a favorite amongst his equals, which is you, the member. This is an election process from the very first line of that chapter. Also be sure to have read chapter 28 before you decide and act upon a master-servant relationship with anyone. Leaders in and out of temples. These failed acts of leadership are equivalent to the so-called civil rights leaders, leading people down the road of civil rights acts, of which was struck down as unconstitutional. Yet people still march about it in ignorance. The children are state property, children being killed like animals in the street because they were not guided to know anything about or have any honor of their mothers and fathers, who are the mothers and fathers of civilization and civilization principles. They have not been made aware that they themselves are all law divinely manifested in flesh. They then are prime for the modern foreign European squatters and their documented intent to live out their religious purpose, which is to murder them and commit birthright theft under threat, duress, and coercion methods today. They remember that they were in slavery at the hands of the British, Moors, and were not treated well, and they do not want to go back to that position, nor would they, if they would be law-abiding instead of violating the law and ignoring the American National Constitution, which is compact designed to preserve, protect, and secure everyone's rights, bring the peace we all say we seek. It is important for Moors to remember who they are. This is not the ancestral estate of foreign Europeans who admittedly came over on slave boats on the Mayflower at the instruction of Queen Isabella, or via Ellis Island, and any other way they can escape their tyranny, as they look for a place to squat. It is all written and documented truth. However, their public education has not been applied to tell that truth to our children. What they are learning is the 12 years a slave program. These foreign Europeans who are violating the natural people are the ones who came to someone else's land on boats, and they refuse to follow the law of the land, which is free to them. They want to enslave the people who agreed and assisted in their freeing. Read the letter from Benjamin Banneker to Ben Franklin, 1791. He mentions the same to them in that letter. We need not to allow them to tell us what they want us to know about Benjamin Banneker, which is what they are posed now to do, since we believe whatever they say, and we do not study for ourselves and do not teach our own. Also read the letter from George Washington to the Sultan of Morocco, 1789, wherein you will see we assisted them and established the Constitution for them as a law to follow and enforce on the land. Both letters are found on the Forgotten Scrolls page of the site. These are some of the truths that were not taught in the corporate state public schools that we send our children to and believe it is the law to do so, since they will fine you and put you in jail if you do not send your children to their 12 years a slave program. Now we can begin to recognize the importance of your obligation to your children, and at the very least, tell them the truth of your heritage and their heritage place in history. Prophet Noble Drew Ali pointed you in this direction of your illustrious history as Moors. before a MSTA temple was established when he wrote Message to America and talked about wonderful buildings such as the Alhambra and the Taj Mahal the Moors built. We can now understand why they are all over what you teach your child and why they insist on providing a curriculum to your child. One which is dumbed down and lacking truth of heritage and their place in history, giving them no sense of pride. Upon study, we found that heritage and history, and it was never really hidden. Clearly, those modern Europeans are feigning to be what and who they are not, as it pertains to having any jurisdiction over your ancestral estate or over you. Your birthrights cannot be bought, cannot be sold, and cannot be transferred. Therefore are fixed in nature, and there is nothing anyone can do to change that. Not even paperwork can change the truth, and thank goodness that no one can change another's descent nature. To conclude, things would be quite different if Moors would declare their status and claim their estate via birthright, and stop acting out as if this land is the ancestral estate and inheritance of foreigners, colonists, pilgrims, who came on boats as slaves, beggars, friars, and thieves. We trust all will rise to a civilized position in truth, as the truth does not change nor pass away. If you do anything else, declare your nationality and take your place among the affairs of man. Your status determines your relationship to the community, but it is not a mere relationship. It is a legal one. Common law is international law. It is not corporate state law or policy, nor county, nor municipal, Roman law. You are not a member, citizen of any corporate state. Enforce the law of your land, and if you don't, you can expect someone else to respect it. You would think any so-called leader would know that. Don't confuse your inherited civil liberties with any civil rights act. There is no excuse for so-called leaders, in or out the temple, to lead you to do so. And there ought to be more time for them, because time is unity. And if they are not willing to be unified, the universe will afford them no longer. Disclaimer: this information carries no debate and is very clear. Get to better thinking and free yourself. Be yourself and become better members of society by remembering. Courtesy of rvbaypublications.com, in association with Moorish Heritage and History School and the Moorish Nationpublicrecords.com. Islam. Peace and love. Thank you for listening. I am Sade Renee L. Free Baby Ashe. Until next time, peace and love. Islam.